Hello, my name is Monica Kurtz, and I am going to speak to you today about creating a safe place. A safe place in the classroom is an area where students can go when they're feeling particularly dysregulated, when they're overwhelmed by what's going on in the classroom. It's an area of the room that would benefit everyone because everybody needs to learn how to self-soothe. But it is particularly beneficial for traumatized children who may not have any self-soothing skills at all. This safe space should be located in a quiet place in your classroom away from high traffic areas. So you don't want to put it, say, right next to the pencil sharpener or close to the door to your classroom. It should be an area where the child can have privacy, but also an area where the teacher can monitor what's happening back there. So, the safe space that I have designed is intended to be used in the 4th and 5th grades. This graphic is an illustration of one way to help students sort out how big their feelings are. Sometimes we get upset over little things, sometimes they're a little bit bigger, and sometimes we feel like they're absolutely the worst things that have ever happened to us. And it helps for a child to be able to sort those kinds of feelings out. And particularly when you're working with traumatized students who may overreact to very small triggers or stimuli in the classroom, right? Sorting this out will help them understand where their feelings belong in the grand scheme of things. I like the teepee in this picture. I think it would be a very good place for students to be able to go so they can have a little bit of privacy, but you can still watch them, right? It looks very comforting and very inviting. In this graphic, I really like the introduction of nature into this calming area. I like the tree stump that's used as a table with the addition of the small potted plant. Bringing things in from nature, as we've talked about in our mindfulness and self-care classes, can help students reconnect with themselves. Nature itself is a very soothing thing to be a part of when you're feeling upset. Some of the things that you can put in your class self-calming area would be pipe cleaners, small puzzles, fidget toys, noise-canceling headphones, if your school will buy them, coloring pages, journaling pages, pencils and markers, and also a Hoberman sphere to help with breathing. All of these are intended to help the student refocus so that they can return back to the classroom. I really like adding coloring pages and journaling pages, really for students of all ages. The journaling lends, again, that aspect of mindfulness to the calming area, and the coloring pages also giving students a way to express themselves can be very helpful in their return to regulation. You can also have soothing scents like lavender, right, which helps calm and settle your nerves. For some students, if you have a spice jar that has big holes in the top, you can put lavender oil on a cotton ball and stick it in the jar, and that could help. Or you could use an eye pillow that has lavender in it. You could even make a weighted sock by taking a tube sock and filling it with rice with a few sprinkles of lavender oil, and the pressure that comes from having that on your lap or on your shoulders is also very calming, and then the scent adds to the calmness. How to introduce students to the calming corner? Well, first we want to talk about feelings. What are our feelings, and what do we do when we're so sad or we're so mad that we can't even think about school? Like, math has to completely take a back seat because we're feeling so overwhelmed. We're going to talk about that we have a special place in our room where we can go when we need to have time alone, right? It's not an area where you would send a student who has already escalated into crisis and needs maybe to be escorted outside of the classroom. This is a proactive response to our feelings rather than a reactive one. So I'm going to introduce the items in the calming area and how they might be used. We're going to role play using the corner, and I'm going to go first. And I think it's really beneficial when the adults in the room model how to handle feelings appropriately. And of course, one of those ways is by using the calming area. So I'm going to use it too when I get upset. But in this introduction, I'm going to role play, and then I'm going to invite students to also demonstrate how to use the corner. We're going to talk about when we feel so upset, how do we leave the group? You know, do we throw our pencils and sweep all the papers off of our desk and huff over to the calming area? No, we stand politely, we move quietly, we go over the calming area by ourselves. There doesn't need to be a lot of drama. When we're done, right, and it's time to return to the group, how do we do that? Do we make a big show of leaving the calming area and waltzing back to our learning area? No, we stand up, we walk back calmly and respectfully to the group, right? I'd also brainstorm with the students about what else we could add to the corner to help us when we need it. So one student might say, well, I would really like to have a teddy bear, because even 9 and 10-year-olds still like teddy bears, right? Another student might say, I'd really like to have a Rubik's Cube. That really helps me focus. We also want to set expectations about how long students can stay in the corner. Can you stay there for the entirety of math class? No. This is not a place where we go to avoid work. So if you need to go and stay for a few minutes, that's fine. But if you extend that, you're going to have to make up the work, right? So this is not a place where we can go to get out of things. When the student has calmed, right, how do we process with them when they return to the classroom? Some students are going to be fine and they're going to return to the classroom and be great. Some students might need to talk to you, the teacher, for a little bit. Some students might feel like they need a few more minutes to stay. So we need to create a structured routine on how students return to class. So I advise you to use a timer to limit how long students are allowed to stay. An hourglass is particularly beneficial because you can also watch the sand fall, and that's very calming, right? If a student needs more time, how do they signal to the teacher to ask for that time? Maybe there's a card that you can clip on the curtain, or a sign that you can hold up that says, I need a couple more minutes, so that the teacher is aware, I'm in here and I know that there are expectations, but I just need a few more minutes, right? Students, again, should leave their area and return quietly to wherever they're supposed to be, their desk or their group work, right? And peers in the classroom need to respect the student's privacy. So there shouldn't be a lot of, why did you go there? What made you upset? How come you did that? We want to avoid that drama. So we also want to practice with everybody else in the class. When a student returns to the classroom, this is how we respond. We are also respectful. That's the end of my presentation on calming centers. Here are my references. Thank you very much for your time.